Says it's preparing. Didn't see last stream. It's still loading. Then redirecting. All right, we're good.
All right. So Patty, we'll begin. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. Had a few technical problems on this end, and so we're trying to figure that out, but we got to go.
You're not alone on that. Not alone on that. All right, let's go ahead and call our meeting to order. Are there any to the agenda, Kyle?
Patty, I can't hear you. I don't know if that's on our end or not.
I am not muted.
I can hear you.
I can hear.
Yeah, she's good here too.
And you, Patty, you can see.
Can you hear me now, Kyle?
I can't hear Patty on this end either. Even if I. Okay.
You gotta mute that one.
Okay.
All right.
That's good to speak again.
Patty, can you speak again?
Hello.
Oh, now we can hear you.
Okay,
Okay, I'm sorry.
no problem. Do we have any additions to our agenda? Kyle, were there any additions to the agenda?
No, I don't believe there were.
All right, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Chris, I'll make a motion.
All right, Chris and Heidi, thank you so much. All those in favor of accepting the as presented, say aye or thumbs up. There you go, thumbs up. All right, motion carries. Okay, moving on to consent agenda. Any questions about consent agenda, or is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Brittany. Second? Chris? All right, we do have a first and a second. Is there any discussion about the consent agenda? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, thumbs up or aye? Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, moving into old business, and maybe Jim, if you want to take over the self-evaluation report. Are you still on the phone, Jim? Should we just come back to that one, maybe Kyle?
Yes.
Okay, let's come back. Let's do the innovation fund process.
Hello.
Oh, there he is. Do you want to lead us through the?
Patty?
Yep.
Unfortunately, I do not have the evaluation summation report with me. I left it in Fargo. I had kind of an emergency reason to get to Minneapolis, so I'm going to have to defer that until our next meeting.
That works. All right, let's move on to the innovation fund process, then the second draft.
So I'm going to let Allison go through a little bit about the process and where we're at in trying to approve this final draft so we can get the application out there and have schools participate in for access to these dollars. So I'm going to pass that over to Allison.
Perfect. So we had a small number of responses, but some good feedback from superintendents. And so we had a couple changes on there. And I don't know if you've all had a chance to review it, so I can share my screen really quickly so we can take a peek at it. All right. A couple of things that were changed come in at the. So again, typically it'll be submitted August 31st each year, or we'll have it out by August 31st. The submission day will be October 15th. We're still going with this year's priority deadline of January 15th. These pieces stay the same of how they can apply for no more than 20%. There is a collaboration opportunity to get a larger amount if they choose to work with other districts. The focus we still have on innovation, and we're keeping the cannot supplant piece part of that we had in place. We did have some feedback and some suggestions, and the only thing we did is kind of expand on our reasoning behind that. And it really says that replacing funds already allocated for and being spent on the current project is not the intended goal. But if wanting to expand upon, grow, increase existing capacity, et cetera, within a current project, those funds could be utilized for that. So it's saying that, if you've already budgeted and having a process or a project in place and that's already allocated, then we don't want to supplant those funds. But if you want to grow and say, we're already doing this, but if we had more money, we could do it for this many more students, or we could add in this piece. If there's something on top of that project, then those funds could be utilized. The review committee, we had a couple step up on that from the comments. And so those will come with the SEEC directors in this first round. And so giving the short time frame of this first year, they will stay in place for the full 22-23 school year. And then all committee members will review all applications. So no matter if you submitted one and you are on that committee, you'll review all of them and score them similarly across the board. And then each year after the 22-23 year, there will be the ability for the committee, other new committee members to come on or leave that review committee. But once you agree to be on it from the beginning, you are on it for that full year. So it's a consistent review committee. One other one that we did explain a little bit further and we pushed out was the no later than June 15th. We had initially put on April 30th as a starting point. And again, especially this year, it's a short turnaround. So it will go out to the June 15th. And so that's when the report must be submitted. Now we do know that there may be projects or ideas that will run into the summer months. And so that just needs to be explained and accounted for in that report or in that application. So we can then do final reporting and data points at the end of the completion of the use of the funds. So we as SEEC need to disperse those funds before the June 30th deadline. So it remains in that fiscal year that it was granted. And then the new innovation fund run will come in the next year. So not that you can't spend into the summer months based on those funds, but we just need the explanation of the budget in that application so we can have that reporting and everything in the current fiscal year it was granted. Other than that, the one other piece that is identified or spelled out a little more, the rubric stayed the same. In the application outline, we did provide a little more guidance around the budget, and that was just some questions of things that the review committee will take into consideration around what will be purchased or paid for, what is the purpose reason for the purchase and payment, is that cost estimate reasonable, are these expenses necessary for the project, who will be paid or where will items be purchased if known, and will other funding be used in conjunction with this to complete the project. So those are some other guidance pieces that we put in based on comments from the superintendents. And again, we changed the wording to reflect that June 15th date. Report outline, June 15th deadline. And those pieces did not change in the report other than that. So not a ton of changes, but some good feedback we received, and we made a couple edits to reflect that.
Alice, can I ask a point of clarification? And the first page, number 3, it says districts will not be allowed to apply for more than 20% of the fund total each year. That sounds, when you say districts instead of a district will not be allowed, it sounds like in total, we're only giving out 20% of the total fund balance. So then it's confusing when you say 5% they can collaborate. I think you mean that one district, right? Am I reading that incorrectly? This sounds
district can only apply for 20%, right? We're giving, the whole fund is up for applying for it. Just one district solely can only apply for 20%. So we can clarify that.
Yeah, I wonder if it should be a district then instead of, because that sounds like in totality, district sounds like everybody, and then 20% of the funds, and then you can't, when you can do 40%. So I knew what you meant, but it's not what it says. So that might be a good place to at least put an A in front of it.
Yes.
Thank you. Any other questions or points of clarification?
Yeah, one clarification. Is this a reimbursement grant, or is it going to be something that's paid out right away to use, or they have to spend the money to do receipts to get the money back?
I think we put it in here of it's, the report is required to have the funds dispersed. So grant dollars will be dispersed after the submission of a report outlining the outcomes and use of funds. That's what.
It won't be reimbursed per receipt. It'll be like if you, if the plan is approved, you'll know that you have these dollars. Once you've completed it and turned in the report, then you will get reimbursed for the dollars that were approved.
So it's a reimbursement grant then, basically.
It is.
It's, if they
But
hit their project goal, they get this dollar amount.
Yeah, we're not asking for receipts on itemized receipts and those kinds of things. But it's after completion.
All right, any other questions or clarification? And this is the second draft. I mean, are we looking for approval today or are we bringing it back next time? What's the process with that, Kyle?
We're looking to approve it this time so that we can get it out. And so if people are comfortable with a district in there, so what I would suggest would be a motion to approve the application with the change of a district in approving the application on there, if there are no other changes that people would want to make.
All right. I'd entertain a motion.
Mitch, I'll make a motion to approve the innovation grant fund application.
Thank you, Mitch. Third,
This is
second.
Jim, I'll second it.
All right, we have a first and a second. Is there any other discussion? It'll be interesting to see how this rolls out. When you get feedback once it's started. All right, all those in favor of the innovation grant as presented and adding A to number 3, please say aye or thumbs up.
Aye.
All right, those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Yeah,
All
and so I appreciate everybody's work on this. It's the beginning, not the end. I mean, it'll continue to evolve as we learn what's happening here. And again, if you remember, we started this before COVID and then COVID hit and it got and so now I appreciate staff has put a lot of work into it. And again, I'm excited about the opportunities for schools.
All right, should we move on to new business?
Yes.
First one you had was lead administrator.
So so Steve Hall is going to come off of our SEC board as the lead administrator January 1st. And so what I did is, and you should have received an email too, is I asked for nominations through Friday. I asked about 10 days ago, through Friday, for people that want to serve on the SEC board as the lead administrator, and that would include anybody. It's not based on region or anything. And then all the administrators, if we have more than one nomination, then all the administrators, we would send out an opportunity to vote on if there's more than one. If there's just one, then we'll ask for consensus on that. And so we'll see if there are any additional nominations coming in as we move forward. After the administrators meeting tomorrow, I will remind them if they're interested in sending any more nominations, and then Friday we'll end it, and then Monday we'll determine the process to send it out and for all the administrators to be able to vote on who will be the lead administrator and move into that board position. So I just wanted to update people on that process.
Okay. Any questions on that before we move on? All right, how about grant award submissions and announcements?
So we just wanted to give you guys an update on some of the ESSER opportunities coming out of DPI that the SEC is pursuing. There have been some submissions towards some standards work around the North Dakota State content standards and processes, around the multi-tiered systems of support, around some high-quality tutoring or high-impact tutoring and paraprofessional training opportunities. We're currently working on science of reading and supporting House Bill 1388 through some professional learning. And so some of the submissions, as we put this agenda together, we had to have a couple of those proposals in prior to the Thanksgiving holiday on the 24th of November, with DPI indicating that we would know by the 1st of December. We did inquire again this morning, and some of those are just in fiscal at DPI right now. So we would anticipate having a lot of that work coming towards us in collaboration with other REAs across the state to support all school districts. And so we just wanted to give you all just a quick update of that. Is a lot of the work that we're spending some time obviously preparing what that work would look like. Funding for most of those grants are through September of 2024, with the exception of the MTSS is through the fall, September of 2023, with the potential of an additional 1 year, depending upon where some of their other initiatives are going. So that's kind of the update there. There has been another one added in recent days around the North Dakota Essential Understandings and some of the supports for, I don't know what she's saying. You know what that one is? It just came out, and so there's a meeting on Friday about that one. Again, I think we're starting to hit a max of how much more can we take on, but all good things and lots of opportunities. But again, school districts have a lot on their plates, and we met with principals yesterday. We understand the challenges of subs and some of those things. So we're trying to look at innovative ways and get communications out as soon as possible, but knowing, again, this is the time to get a lot of the infrastructure and pieces in place that can support us into the next coming years. So we just wanted to give you a quick update on a lot of the work that's happening right now, in addition to all of the work that we do with all of the schools. Any questions that I could answer on any of the things that we mentioned?
So I want to add one thing. I was in a meeting last week that was talking about some of these, whether it's the ESSER funds or it's the coronavirus funds that came from Washington, D.C., or the Build Back Better funds that may come out of Washington, D.C. here in the next couple months around some of the social issues and some of those things. And there was a diagram up there, and I think we're all aware of this, but I just want you to know as the board that we're aware of this too, is when you start to look at when that money dries up in about 2026, 2027, that we need to be planning, just as schools do. There's a lot of money that is available to REAs right now to do work. And how do you balance staffing levels, and how do you balance priorities? And so we're aware that we're in a boom right now a little bit, but there is a timeline where that will end. And so we always need to be aware of that as we move forward. So we have that on our radar, similar as you probably do as board members and as school districts too.
Do you have enough staff, Kyle, to handle? I mean, you're busy already, and if we add all these additional grants, what does that look like for your staff?
I think one of the things that we do need to take a look at is just the additional work. Like I said, I think that the newer things that are still coming that we know may require some additional people, but I think that the other thing is just, there's some other things like, one of the big projects that we are trying to figure out is, how to support targeted and comprehensive support schools in the state, which again, I think I mentioned on this call at one time. And that's going to be through the work of the REAs, and that's a different function than we've played in the past. And I think that that is an area where we've discussed how we would staff that across the state, because we don't know where those schools are until they run the annual ESSA reports. And so that may be a fluctuating thing. Again, in our area, we have fewer schools who are identified, but that's kind of in another bucket, if you will. But like Kyle said, I think a lot of the things depend on some of the infrastructure. Sometimes at the beginning of some of these efforts, we have a lot more planning time and a lot more of the building. And then it becomes that, how do we build it into something sustainable? And so then it maybe requires less of that input of the staff time. So again, like Kyle said, we're always trying to figure out how that balance is going to happen. But if there's a lot more opportunities and we feel like those are the priorities, then that may be a discussion that we have to have.
So I'll give one other brief answer to that. Is part of our goal is helping other REAs in other regions outside of ours to build more capacity and to work with them to take on some of that additional work. And we have a little bit more aggressive model about how we've approached being an REA, from a capacity and finding dollars, and so some of the REAs, and I'll use, it doesn't matter which ones, but there are 2 or 3 other REAs on what I'll say the western to the central North Dakota that are looking to build more capacity. And I think that's a way that will be as beneficial to us as us trying to do it all too. They're starting to recognize that they can do it, and their boards are starting to their superintendents are starting to have, taking a little bit more risk and being a little bit more aggressive in building that capacity to help meet their needs, because there's a lot of challenges for schools right now from a workforce and a support standpoint. And if they can strengthen their REAs across the state, then that'll just benefit all school districts.
All right. Anything else with the update for questions in regards to the grant? Good stuff for our schools. Should we move on to the strategic initiative reports?
So I just wanted to update you a little bit on the facility. As you know, you approved the signing of the lease the last time. So we've been working with, again, updating the facility, making sure that there's a lot of intricacies and making sure the power's in the right spot, working with the office furniture people in getting that set up, working with the Fargo Public Schools in regards to our space, and utilizing some of the office furniture we have here in the new facility, and then complementing that with the newer stuff that we need for the growth that we have, the additional space that we're getting in I'll just call it, we should probably have a nickname for it or something, but our new facility in South Fargo. We are available, April 1st is the date that we have to start paying the new lease, but we think that it would be beneficial, or we have the possibilities of getting in by March 1st. On the lease, we are starting to pay some of the utilities around March 1st in that area. And so they're not going to charge us to move in, but it'll allow us some time to more gradually move in, and instead of just shoving everything together in 2 days. But so I think the process is going well, and we'll just keep working at it. Any questions about the facility? Okay. Accreditation.
Oh, so then the second update then is just the accreditation cognitive visit that's going to happen in January. I met with the lead evaluator, Dr. Rosalind Wright is her name. She comes out of St. Petersburg, Florida, and has been a lead evaluator for Cognia for many years. And then we walked through some things. One of the documents that she did share was the, just a reminder, this will be a virtual visit. They're still conducting virtual visits. So I needed to get a copy of that. The problem is I'm waiting on a response because some of her dates are a little off. So, but one thing that she did ask about board participation is, will all of the board members be available? And so I will send out as soon as I can confirm. I think it's going to be on Tuesday, January 18th, but on the sheet that she sent me, it's Wednesday, January 19th. But again, if it's a 3-day visit, I'm going to say it's the 18th. And so the morning from 9:30 to 10 a.m. But I will send something in the follow-up to this as soon as we know. If you would all be available. It sounded to me like they would like to meet with each of you individually as opposed to collectively. So we currently have 4 people on our evaluation or engagement review team. And Meredith had said that perhaps we were looking for a 5th. So 2 of the other people on the team are colleagues of ours from 2 of the REAs in the state. And then the 4th one is from the Center for Distance Education. So that's who's on our team right now. And so as soon as we can get you the dates and the times, again, it would probably be a Zoom call or a phone call for an interview.
And again, just a reminder that per North Dakota Century Code, we're required to be accredited every 5 years, similar to a school district. The alignment between the Cognia accreditation for schools and those for education service agencies aren't the best in the world, but we will work ourselves through that as we did the first time, and we hope they continue to fine-tune how they look at education service agencies versus looking at school districts. Now, in many states, education service agencies do run schools. So when I was out to an accreditation visit, I was on a team out in Michigan, Flint, Michigan. They ran some schools. They were more, in Michigan, you can attend high school until you're 26 years of age. And so they were running schools where kids that had cognitive challenges, some challenges with school, they were running some of those schools that had students between the ages of 21 and 26. So it's unique across the United States how education service agencies work. And with the Cognia accreditation, we just kind of work our ways through. So if you hear some questions that are a bit odd to you, it's just every state is different on how they run their agencies.
I can't believe it's been 5 years already.
No doubt. I did the same thing, but then I look at myself on the screen and I go, oh yeah, it has been 5 years. So getting older. But yeah, so anyway, we certainly appreciate your participation, and Jen will communicate that out. We're hoping to have next week out all the information to them a month ahead of time as required. And so that'll give us, we thought it was good timing because there isn't as much travel and meetings right before Christmas. So it gave us a good project to spend our time on here, and we'll do that in the next 10 days. Any questions on that at all? So the last piece there, just an update on the superintendent engagement. Again, part of for me is to continue to work it out to schools. I will have some time here in the next 8 days before Christmas break, and so I hope to dedicate a couple days to that. We continue to engage schools with our liaison program and our staff members. And so any questions on that?
I do have a separate question. How is the audit redo gonna work for us, Kyle?
So I will let Brenna talk to that a little bit. She's directly involved on it. I asked the same questions to her. How's it going? Do you need me for anything? So I'll let her update you on that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's going. He is definitely more thorough. And we've given him everything he's asked for, so I anticipate it's gonna be done soon. But.
Good.
Yeah,
And that's for,
that's still for 1920, and then he'll start in right away on 2021.
Good, glad to hear that.
Yep.
All right, do we have anything else then, Kyle, for today?
I don't. Unless
Does
there
anyone-
are additional questions, our next meeting is February 23rd.
And right now you're planning that to be a Zoom, it looks like still?
Yes,
Okay.
we'll see where things are at. I do think it would be nice for us to get together in Castleton. So that does say Zoom by it, but
Go to our new office.
if
maybe.
we're in by then, we should do it at our new place. Sometimes.
yeah, if we happen to be in by February 23rd, or if we know we're gonna be in by, yeah. So I would put that date on there.
Or maybe we can do the Castleton meeting in the new space.
In the new space, correct?
Yeah, make that'll give you time to move in. That'd be kind of fun.
Yes, I would agree.
Does anyone else have anything they want to share before we go? All right, if not, happy holidays to everybody.
Yep, thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.